Fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome to today's mailbag video. Before we start, though, a lot of you guys always want to get your questions in on the show. This is the one to do it. Go down below, use the hashtag Falcons, get your question in the comments section. It'll be polled for next week's video, as a lot of these were all taken from last week's video. That's how it works here. So subscribe, and of course, be sure to use your question or ask your question down below using the hashtag Falcons. All right, let's go and jump into the first question here by YNG, who says, Jayvon Hawkins impresses and becomes the number 2 running back since Allison isn't even close to great. Also, Frank Darby becomes wide receiver 3. Could this happen? Yes, it could. And, okay, there's a couple of things to go ahead and break down here. Hawkins can impress. And if you put the Hawkins film on, let me start with this. If you're a Jayvon Hawkins fan, but you haven't really watched him play a lot because he played at Louisville last year, put on his tape. Like, go to YouTube and look up Jayvon Hawkins. I've done that the past couple of weeks, and it's impressive, but it also has holes. Like, he's very small, and that's an issue that I have for an NFL running back in terms of being a every down guy. Now, is he going to be an every down guy? No, because Mike Davis should be the number 1 running back, but still, Hawkins' size is going to be a real question mark here as we get into training camp. And saying Allison is even close to great is probably accurate. I mean, the odds of Qadree Ollison being the number 2 back to me are very slim. There have been very little reports coming out so far at OTAs, and so there isn't any like, Ollison looks great. You know, Arthur Smith thinks Ollison looks really good. I haven't seen any of that. So we'll see about training camp in terms of that happening, but I would agree in terms of Ollison not really being close to great or even being close to being the number 1 running back, or number 2 running back, I should say. The hope is Hawkins. There is not a guarantee it's going to be Hawkins. In terms of Darby, quickly here, I hope he becomes the 3rd wide receiver. Time will tell as we get closer to training camp. Mafi says, most anticipated camp battles I'm looking at are the free safety, strong safety, also other starting cornerback. Yeah, those are 2 obviously very important ones. I did a whole training camp battle video here on the channel a couple of days ago. Definitely check that one out. It was like 2 or 3 days ago. Here's my 5, though, which we talked about. I said left guard and center, big-time battles happening there. The entire offensive line, I think, is going to be one big open competition, not named right guard and left tackle, because those 2 guys are secure. Right tackle, center, left guard are all going to be big-time camp battles. We mentioned earlier, you mentioned Darby being the number 3 wide receiver. Well, he's battling Olamide Zaccheaus and Christian Blake for that. Another big camp battle I'm keeping an eye on there, because Darby has a chance to be the number 3 guy, but will he be the number 3 guy is the question. Then you have Qadree Ollison versus Tony Brooks-James, and of course Jayvon Hawkins, as we talked about that a little bit earlier. Self-explanatory, who's going to be the number 2 running back. You have Kendall Sheffield versus Fabian Monroe versus Darren Hall, the rookie. So you would expect Sheffield to be the number 2 cornerback, as you mentioned in your comment section there. But Monroe was signed to kind of be the insurance policy if Sheffield or Darren Hall was not good. And so you have a scenario like you had last year where the veteran eventually wins the job because Sheffield was unable to hold on to the job, as we saw during the season. And then Marlon Davidson versus Taquan Graham. Like, who's going to be that backup pass rusher who is successful during the season, right? Because Davidson, of course, barely played last year. He had a lot of injuries, very underwhelming. It's still, a high draft pick, and so you expect him to be better in year 2. But he has some decent competition. At least you think Graham is going to be a guy as a draft pick coming out there in terms of being a successful pass rusher from a rotational standpoint, obviously not talking about starting in any way. Here's the deal. Arthur Smith has a bunch of tough decisions. Like, Smith has some tough decisions to go ahead and figure out during the training camp. And now every single team and coach has that, but Smith is a little bit, I would say, more challenging because he's a rookie head coach, and there are a lot of battles. Like, there are a lot of teams in the National Football League, most notably the better ones, that don't have big-time holes or big-time battles, and they have veteran head coaches, and so training camp is more of a get ready for the season type of thing. That's still true in Atlanta, and they still have a lot of veteran players, but you have a rookie head coach, a lot of holes as well, and it's going to be figure out the holes and get ready for the season in the ATL. So obviously, I think Smith's going to be able to handle it. He's hired to be the head coach. That's going to happen either way, but he's going to be, I think, successful either way, even though he is the rookie head coach. But some tough decisions nonetheless to go ahead and work through, and this will be the reason why you got to keep coming back to the channel, because we're going to be breaking down everything we're hearing coming out of training camp as the days and weeks progress with them up at Flowery Branch this next week. Which player are you most excited about to watch at training camp this season? Is there one player you're like really pumped to go ahead and see how he does? Let me know who that is down below in the comments section. I think the easy answer is Kyle Pitts, but I want to see what you guys think in terms of the comment section down below. All right, we're going to keep going here. The training camp hats are still on sale and still up available right now at chatsports.com/Falcons Camp. And so if you guys want to rep the official Falcons training camp hat, you've seen them wear at OTAs, but they're going to continue to wear them on the sideline and during the preseason games and into the regular season. They're all official right there. Rep the best team in the NFC East with all the different sizes and styles in chatsports.com/Falcons Camp. That link will be down below in the description box. All right, next question here comes from D1 Caden, who says, I really feel like the Falcons will get the wild card this year. What do you think? I hope so, and I think this gets questioned every single week. Here's the deal. Listen, it's 9 wins and you're in. That's how it's going to work in the playoffs this year. It's basically how it worked in the playoffs last year. Last year was 8 wins and you're in because the Bears snuck in as the 7th seed at 8-8, but that can of course change because of the extra game being added. So I think 9 wins, a 9-8 season, you're guaranteed a slot. I'd be surprised if 8-9 does it, but the NFC is pretty good. So teams could beat up on each other in our division, in the NFC West and the NFC East, and then you have a team at 8-9 who sneaks in, kind of like the Bears, I guess, did at 8-8 in the brutal NFC North. So I think that they can. They have to have a lot go right. I think that's something we got to acknowledge as Falcon fans, right? The running game has to work itself out. The offensive line has to be much better than what it was the past couple of seasons. Arthur Smith's offense needs to be creative as we expect it to be, and the defense has to play at least top half in the league, right? They at least have to be somewhat decent in terms of top half of the league in the National Football League, or else you're going to have a scenario where they score a bunch of points on offense with Kyle Pitts and with Matt Ryan and with Arthur Smith's offense, and then the defense can't stop anybody. So I think they can. I think we just focus on getting to 9 wins, and the rest will play itself out. They'll be in at least the conversation as we get closer to the January timeframe, where they haven't been over the past couple of seasons. Give me your record prediction for the Falcons' final record down below in the comments section. Again, 9-8 wouldn't be a bad year. What do you guys think? Give me your overall record prediction for the Falcons down below in the comments section right now. I want to see what you guys have to say in terms of the confidence level, I guess, by giving me your prediction. All right, we'll go to Todd, who says, Thomas, yes, I'm here. What have you seen the last 2 years from Matt Ryan that he is the solution going forward? This is the question in Atlanta, right? Is Matt Ryan the quarterback now and the future? We talked about it a lot during the offseason, during the draft time. Here's what I'll say about Matt Ryan. I'm a Matt Ryan defender, and I think Matt Ryan's going to be great in this offense and great going forward. Matt's not been the problem. Right? You're talking about what I've seen from Matt Ryan. It's not what I've seen from Matt Ryan. It's what I've seen from everyone around Matt Ryan. He's had a bad offensive line. He's had, nothing from the running game. He's had a very porous defense, and he's had a scheme and a coaching system that was very, very vanilla and very, very anti-success. And you talk about Dirk Cutter's system last year was the biggest reason I think Atlanta struggled in times. There were a lot of play calls on 3rd down, on 4th down, in the red zone, in crunch time, where you just go back and watch the film, and it's like, what are they doing? It just didn't make any sense. And so I think Ryan's the biggest beneficiary of Arthur Smith coming in this season, but I think that around him as well will be better. Running game is still a question mark. That is something I talk about every single show, it feels like. I think the offensive line is going to be better, and I think Pitts is going to help out from an offensive perspective. So I've seen enough from Matt Ryan. The guy threw 26 touchdowns last year, still had great numbers. I think he's plenty young enough. I think he can do everything that you would need someone to do to be a playoff caliber football team. I think the things around him, including Arthur Smith, need to be better than where it has been, and that's why they hired Arthur Smith. So the expectation is obviously that. All right, we'll go ahead and get into one more here. Kenneth Lewis says, "Do you think Marlon Davidson's going to have a big part in the defense this year?" That's the plan, right? And so the hope is that year 2 Marlon Davidson is not year 1 Marlon Davidson, that there's some progression there, and having a full off season, being fully healthy is going to go a long way. But there isn't a guarantee, and I think that's one of the reasons why Atlanta has been a little, I think, bearish on Marlon Davidson this offseason. Not talking a lot about him, not trying to hype him up at all, trying to get him through training camp, and hopefully he's able to help out from a rotational standpoint. And that's the best expectation you can have. He's not going to come in here and be the next Grady Jarrett this year, but hopefully you're on the path to him becoming the next Grady Jarrett, next great D-tackle, DN rotational guy. They did draft, a pass rusher in Taquan Graham. I think they needed to do that earlier on in the draft, not because Davidson struggled last year, because they need pass rushers, as we've talked about, but Graham is going to give him some competition to take some of those reps away, because I think the Falcons' expectation is that Dante Fowler is going to be good this year. If that's true, then great, but if not, who knows? And then Grady Jarrett next to him will get his, and then someone else has to fill in that gap, whether it's, again, Marlon Davidson or somebody else like a Taquan Graham, who knows? But it's definitely, if he gives you something this year in Marlon Davidson, that's a big plus from what they're expecting, because I don't think they have very high expectations, even though it is only year 2. All right, there you go. There is our mailbag questions. Again, I appreciate each of you guys submitting each of the ones that came through. All right, ultimate for today here on Atlanta Falcons Today. Again, our mailbag questions. Make sure you guys are subscribed down below for all the latest Falcons news and rumors, as we will get plenty of that coming up next week, as training camp is going to be here, and we're going to report on all the different things that are happening at training camp, battles, injuries, hopefully not, and then everything, all free agents, if they want to sign somebody, bring somebody in, all of that and more will go ahead and be out there. So go ahead and subscribe down below, and also use the hashtag Falcons in the comment section to be a part, as we mentioned, of our next mailbag, because all the questions in this mailbag video are going to be pulled for next week's mailbag that video. So you just go down below, use the hashtag Falcons, and then get your question in and answered, and that is the best way to go ahead and do that. Again, we have our day here on Atlanta Falcons Today. I am your host, Thomas Mott, as we go ahead and sign off. Enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy the rest of your weekend.